all, and welcome back to another episode of There's Danger Here. I'm Leilani. Every month, I've attempted to highlight at least one MMIW case to try and keep the information in the forefront. It is a difficult task, not because there are a lack of cases, but because of the enormity of the issue. If I could gather all the stories, all the information, and relay them all, I would. In order to express this, I've added a second episode on MMIW Week this month. It is, like all of these, a heartbreaking case. This is the case of Emily Pike. Emily Pike was born on May 16th, 2010 to parents Steph Dozella and Jensen Pike in Arizona, growing up on the San Carlos Apache Reservation in Peridot. She had 5 siblings. From the information I am able to find on her, Emily grew up in a manufactured home with her brother, extended family, and her mother, who, again according to information available, suffered from substance abuse. Jensen frequently was incarcerated, as he was at the time of the event. The house didn't always have plumbing and often leaked. According to crime timelines, her mother retained custody, though had a difficulty providing consistent care. When she was young, family reported her as a bright and happy child. But that changed when, at age 13, there was a report that Emily was assaulted on the reservation. Quote, "One of the investigators found her on the hill with no shirt." End quote. Emily's grandmother, Agatha Key, said, was arrested, though was released without prosecution by the tribe days later. As a result, in August of 2023, Emily was removed from her home and placed in Sacred Journey, Inc., a group home in Mesa, Arizona. Family contact was restricted, including Emily's mother, Steph. And here, I really wish we had more information, because if it is true that she was assaulted by family, I really wish they would have prosecuted family and kept them separate, keeping her in the home. Still, this is not how this case goes. In early September, Emily is hospitalized for self-harming. On the 11th, Emily and another girl run away from the home and are reported missing after climbing out of their bedroom window. Both girls were found at a playground at Kleiman Park. After being located, both of the girls made reports of their unwillingness to go back due to the amount of time they were forced to clean. One of them went so far as to tell police they would continue to run away from the facility, preferring jail to it. On September 20th, 2023, Emily was once again reported missing by the group home, but was found almost immediately by an officer headed home. Emily again stated she didn't want to return. According to the officer, quote, "It makes her uncomfortable when the staff gets into arguments with other juveniles in the home," end quote. Emily was sent to a mental health facility for an evaluation, but was still ultimately returned to the group home. On Halloween 2023, Emily ran away again, but returned 3 hours later this time. On November 8th, 2023, Emily attempted suicide by placing a shoestring around her neck and tying it to a doorknob. She was taken to the hospital and released on November 26th. From there, she was picked up by an aunt and uncle who took her for a trip through Colorado, Wyoming, and Utah to visit other relatives. Still, 2 days later, Emily runs away, this time from her own family. When found by police, she refused to go anywhere, speaking about suicidal thoughts. For this, she is again hospitalized and sent back to Arizona and placed in a secure behavioral health facility. In December, she is cleared from the behavioral health facility and again returned to the group home. On January 27th, 2025, the 14-year-old Emily was reported missing from the group home she was placed in Mesa, Arizona, at 7 p.m. Emily had again climbed out of her bedroom window. She is seen approximately 45 minutes later walking near Mesa Drive and McKellips Road. During the investigation, Emily's roommate reported that Emily stated she was going to meet with a boy that she had met previously during guitar lessons. During police investigation on the 28th, an employee reported that Emily was medicated for her history of mental health and behavioral issues. On the 29th, a statewide missing persons bulletin was issued for Emily Pike. No Amber Alert was issued, however, as at this time she's not suspected to have been abducted. On February 2nd, the group home receives a call where an unknown caller left a voicemail that Emily had returned to her mother on the reservation. Though it took over a week for the police to get the voicemail from the home, and they officially reviewed it on February 11th. 3 weeks later, on February 14th, Emily was found, murdered and dismembered off US 60 near Globe, Arizona, 100 miles from the group home and about 50 miles away from her home. Detectives found her head and torso in a large contractor trash bag. Her legs were found in a separate one. That was all that was located. Preliminary autopsy found visible face and head trauma. Emily's identity was confirmed on February 27th. The next day, the Arizona Department of Child Safety, or DCS, opened an inquiry into the group home where Emily had been living. Now, at this time, before moving on, I do want to highlight something. As a healthcare worker in the hospital, there's often a term thrown around. For us, it is alarm fatigue, meaning those of us working hear alarms and noises so often, we start to unconsciously drown them out, reducing our own response times. It is an unfortunate side effect that can occur in a high-stress, high-noise environment. It is combated by working as a team and getting to the alarms swiftly, thus protecting the patient and reducing noise, which is meant to lessen the fatigue. But why am I saying this? Well, it sounds similar to her group home. Let me explain. The workers are dealing with mental health of vulnerable youth. It sounds like Emily wasn't the only one running off, something that was more regular occurrence than not, that she suffered from mental health issues, and I am in no way blaming Emily. I am simply attempting to understand, and this is where my logic takes me. The difficulty of the overworked and understaffed, often stressful environments is that they can lead to burnout. Empathy starts to dissipate. Emily's case seems to show this in the amount of times her running away didn't raise anything more than a phone call to police. It also shows the importance of keeping children with families. The fact that her attacker was released within days, that she was the one removed from the home and suddenly isolated and alone in a new environment, it must have been frightening. I can't imagine she suffered from PTSD from the event, and while she was medicated for her mental health issues, I couldn't find anywhere that she was placed into counseling for this. I also couldn't find a plan for her to reintegrate with family. The fact is, there seem to have been more negative consequences for a victim of assault than for the attacker. The isolation, likely too much for anyone, let alone a girl of such a young age. Sorry for the tangent, but I felt it important to add in. And now, let's get back to the timeline. It takes until March 8th for the sheriff's office to ask locals to check their surveillance videos after the night of Emily's disappearance to see if any leads can be drummed up. On March 15th, a candlelight vigil is held in her honor, and the San Carlos Apache tribe announces a $75,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. Quote, "Our council has offered a $75,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for Emily's murder," end quote. Carlos Apache Tribe Chairman Terry Rambler said in a letter that accompanied the resolution, quote, "We have requested the public to supplement the reward to generate more interest and leads. This crime must not go unsolved. Emily was murdered in a cruel, depraved, and heinous act, and the perpetrator must be held accountable." End quote. According to family and friends, quote, "Emily was a sweet, soft-spoken girl who loved art and her cat Millie. She was thinking about high school and college, planning for her future, and figuring out what she wanted to do with her life. She had a crush on a boy, took guitar lessons, and had just started experimenting with makeup." End quote. According to the AZ Central News, the Gia County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the San Carlos Apache Police Department, and the Mesa Police formed a task force in March in order to catch Emily's killer. Gia County Sheriff's Office spokesperson Lieutenant James Lottie said the task force was concentrating on the site where her remains were discovered. Quote, "We want to find out who dropped Emily Pike's body there. That will lead us to where she was killed and how she was killed." End quote. On March 24th, the San Carlos Apache Tribe pushed the HB 2281 legislation that would establish a missing Indigenous person alert system and implement tighter group home regulations. The San Carlos Apache Tribe said it sent a resolution to Governor Katie Hobbs and other state officials requesting an investigation and legislative reform in response to the death of Emily Pike. And according to USA Today, quote, "Arizona has the highest rate of youth cared for in group homes and institutions, a practice known as congregate care. Nonprofits Fostering Alliance Arizona and Children's Act Alliance said the state houses 17% of all kids it cares for in its out-of-home system in group homes, and 11% of all children age 12 and under are housed in these institutions. The national average is 3%. A report by the Children's Bureau, an office of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, also found that children in out-of-care home, such as foster care, congregate care, including group homes or other institutional settings, are at a high risk to fall prey to human traffickers." End quote. The family has since filed a civil suit against the foster home for failing to keep Emily Pike safe. Unfortunately, Emily's case continues to remain unsolved and open. That is all the information that I have at this time. So again, to all those out there listening, be careful. It's a dangerous world we live in.